today we have pleasure to invite the CTO in the Phoenix and Tether today, Paolo.
Could you maybe help us say hi to the camera for the Taiwanese audience? Yeah.
Hello everyone. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure, our
Yeah,
pleasure.
our pleasure.
So our first question is, what sort of advice would you give to participants in Plan B Summer School on their pursuits and careers in the crypto space and the blockchain industry?
Yeah, so I think one of the most important things that I want people to learn here is that the difference between the different cryptocurrencies and the difference between the different blockchains, right? Every single project has a different structure, has a different level of security. So here, as you have seen, we are more focused on Bitcoin because it's the king of cryptocurrencies. It's the one that is truly decentralized. We hear a lot about the decentralization, and I want students in these days to understand. Every single blockchain says that they are decentralized. The reality of things is that is not true. There are different levels, flavors of decentralization. You go from Bitcoin, that is extremely decentralized. Was the first block was mined, and so the first Bitcoin was mined with the first block. While the majority of the other blockchains start from initial supply, right? And that also tells that there are trade-offs. And so for us, it's important to make sure that the history of why everything started with the Bitcoin industry is not lost.
It's passed down to the next generations.
So let's move on to the second question. So today we are really excited to see that crypto payment become true in Uganda. So we are kind of wondering that, do you think this kind of crypto payment infrastructure is easy to be copied worldwide, or do you have any plan to integrate this kind of application elsewhere? And do you have any a future vision for this application?
Yeah, so actually recently I was personally in Georgia, and there we invested in a company called CityPay. That company is providing a service similar to what we have in Lugano with the point of sales, and so they have already more than 600 merchants integrated in Tbilisi, and they're expanding quickly. They have in plans to onboard more than another 1,000 merchants in the next 12 months. So that means if you already go in the streets of Tbilisi, you will see the Bitcoin sign, the Tether sign around the city, and you will find easy ways to convert cash into Tether, or convert Tethers into cash, and it's extremely seamless. And so we invest in that company because it's important, in our opinion, to support local companies that are creating solutions for payments that are well designed for the local people, right? So maybe something that is specifically designed for Switzerland might not work in Georgia, might not work in Taiwan. But if we invest in local companies that they have the history, they have the culture to understand what is exactly is needed in the different areas, then that is our best approach. And so this is what we are doing across the world. Also, we are doing the same thing in El Salvador. We brought a company that we invested in El Salvador, and they are starting to set up the first point of sales also in the cities of San Salvador.
Yeah. So you mentioned Georgia just now, so that brings us to our next question. So obviously we're all active followers of yours on Twitter and on Tether News. So we're aware that Tether has signed an MOU with the Georgian government and Georgian universities like BTU, so to foster blockchain education and crypto. So we were thinking, would you think that a similar educational program or scheme could be offered in Taiwan as well, to sort of provide and foster blockchain education in Taiwanese society as well?
Well, first of all, I'm really grateful to have here in Lugano many students and professors coming from Taiwan, because I think everyone, including professors, should have the humility to learn new things, right? So, and that is the best feeling from these few days. Everyone, so even myself, when I was on stage, I said I'm here to learn, right? I need to learn more about other experiences, cultures. And so I think it is in our interest to to bring this Plan B educational program also in other like in Taiwan and in other areas of the world, because of course we want to work with the local universities. The first thing when we go with we enter in a specific market is always find the universities, because it's from where we start, right? So we want to make partnership with universities to create courses. We have already a lot of material that of course has to be adapted to the course of the university, to the different degree programs. But from our point of view, we never start like investing and putting money in something, right? We never start in with the politics. We always start from education. That is, in my opinion, the way to go, and is also the most genuine way to go.
So here comes to the last question. So as you mentioned yesterday in the panel discussion, you say that you developed the USDT is for enable more people to access the Bitcoin. We think this is a very insightful idea, and we are thinking that, so from your point of view, now we have stablecoin, we have a lot of crypto exchange now, and do you think what is the most key next step to maximize the Bitcoin's benefit to the whole human society? Do you think it's enabling the crypto payment, or is there any other idea from you? Yeah.
So crypto payments are just a part of the story, because the crypto payments are allowing people that have already cryptocurrencies to feel included in the payment system. Because if, for example, in Lugano, you could have for example, a Japanese tourist that come with the Japanese yen debit cards and pay to the merchant.
Yeah.
Why Bitcoin should be excluded? You want people that have Bitcoin to feel included as anyone else in the world. So, but that is a part of the story. But also, I think the most important story about Bitcoin is similarly to gold, is teaching about the store of value. So making sure that people understand that geopolitics are changing rapidly, and we are seeing how there is a war going on between Russia and Ukraine, and there are a lot of uncertainty in the world. Right? In a way, Bitcoin is kind of a certainty, because you know that every time you wake up, you have Bitcoin in your wallet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You wake up every single morning of your life. You still have, of course, you have it to have a good security, but you wake up every morning, you have your Bitcoin.
It's still there, yeah.
Yeah, and there is nothing that can give you the same feeling. Nothing, no other financial mean, no other currency that will hold us to the same truth. And that is what we are trying to teach to people. It's not that you have to keep or put all your wealth. It's not that you have to sell your house for Bitcoin. It's never like that, because we don't believe in speculation. We believe that speculation is for all the other cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin has a bigger reason to exist, that is ensuring that you have a way out. You have a plan B, right? The concept of the plan B, this name that we have for this initiative, is that things can go for the worst in the world, and humanity has seen that throughout the history of humanity, right? History never repeats exactly the same, but rhymes. And the classic rhyme is that the world have been riddled by wars and many issues, and so we cannot pretend, we cannot close our eyes thinking that these things will not happen in the future. But now we should leverage on technology to understand what are the new tools that we can use in order to protect ourselves. And compared to the past, people are more nomad, right? So you have your Bitcoin, you can move from one place to another, right? So you can migrate, you can go in a place that you feel safer or more adapt to your family. And so only with Bitcoin you can do that.
Thank you for your sharing today. So actually, the interview is basically over here, but we have another discussion that we want to go with you. So as you may know, that Taiwan has around 1 trillion volume in international trade every year. So we think that is a huge potential in this market. Yeah.
So we were thinking, could you comment on the role that Tether could potentially play in sort of the supply chain settlements? And as you mentioned in your presentation this morning, that the sort of next step that the Tether might go towards trading finance. So we're thinking there's like a matching profile with both. So could you maybe comment on this potential opportunity and your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so the complexity of trade finance is enormous, right? So it's the more we go towards a globalization of economy where suddenly you can buy the smallest of the goods from, for example, China if you live in Europe, or you can acquire huge quantities of raw material or like finished products from the East. The more you need faster and more secure settlement means. The problem with banking is that banks are needed. So that is the first statement I want to say. It's not that stable coins by themselves can replace banks. Banks provide an element of control, an element of trust that is still needed in this environment. If you want to get a loan, you will get a loan from a bank. You will not get a loan from a stable coin. If you want to ensure, if you want to have an escrow, the bank can be your escrow. But the settlement speed, the ability of moving funds in a second, any amount of funds in a second, with low fees, without barriers, is only a property, a feature of stable coins. And that's why I think that banks should not dismiss this technology and should really embrace it. Stable coins, in the end, they are still part of the equation, but they need to understand that this is happening even if they don't want it, right? So we are seeing already enormous usage of USDT in part of trade finance between East Europe and Asia, and that is happening without Tether as a company doing anything about it, being involved in marketing, right?
Exactly.
So we didn't ask for it. People will always find the most efficient way to do their business, and this comes all with regulations, right? There is KYC and processes, there is everything. So it's not that you have lack of controls, but still you have a much higher level of efficiency that will never be comparable to traditional wires. And if you look at the SWIFT printout, that is something that was invented in the 60s, 50s or 60s, right? So we cannot pretend that the world keep becoming more efficient relying on technology that is 70 years old.
So I think we are closing now.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you so much for your time. Grazie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Grazie.
Grazie.
That's it. Thank you so much.